Hello, this is Jaja Awakening, and I am here to talk about something that I'm surprised there is not more videos on in the Twin Flame community. This is something that Divine has put on my mind to share for a while. And I have been in the Twin Flame journey or on the Twin Flame journey for almost 7 years now. It's a little bit shy of 7 years. And in the beginning, and I do apologize for my next statement in advance, but I am going to look through all of my journals and everything that I have, and I will come back with accurate information. But there was a woman when I first stumbled upon my divine masculine. There was a woman, and I don't have her name right now, but I know that it is in some of my books and some of my journals. And I had printed out information, and during my accelerated learning period, and I have talked about this in another video, a couple of videos, but in my accelerated learning process, I had stumbled up on her articles, and she was one of the only persons that had articles out to explain what I was going through, and that's how I actually stumbled up on the journey. Um, but I do want to mention that I have to give her credit, and I'll go back and find the information, and I know Spirit and Divine will give me and provide that information for me. But I'm only going to speak about the things that I read through her articles and the information that I've gone through myself. I don't claim to be an expert at all. I just claim to know what I know through my journey and the things that I've gone through for myself. And so I will go over the stages of the Twin Flame journey as I've gone through them and as I was taught through articles and studies of my own. Now, why the information is not out there and like readily at hand, I actually don't know. I can't even fathom why. But I do know that this is something that is real, and I've gone through these stages. So I will only talk about the stages that I have gone through. I'm not going to talk about any stages that someone else added on after I've come across the studies and the accelerated learning and the articles. And so you can only quote me on what I speak about and what I've gone through. Do not ask me questions about any other stages that have been added in that I have not gone through or I do not know about, because the answer will be simply, I don't know. I am not up for debate about what my discussion is for this video. This is just information for whomever it is going to resonate with and whoever is led to this channel to view this video. I do want to state that I, without a doubt, know that I am in a twin flame connection and journey with my divine masculine. It has been confirmed several times. I confirmed it myself. And the reason, I'm going to go into a little bit of backstory, and if you've checked out some of my videos, this is not something that I like to talk about a lot. My personal journey, that is. I don't like to speak about it because it's mine. It's my personal journey. But I will speak about the things that I've experienced and the stages that I've experienced, because if anybody is as confused as I was when I first stumbled up on my twin and how eager I was to learn, then this will be for you. I didn't know what to call it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if I was going crazy or not. And it wasn't a good feeling the first, I'm going to say the first week after meeting him. I knew it was something out of the ordinary. I guess I could say extraordinary. I knew that it was special, but I was also scared because it was so intense, and it was something that was addictive. It was something that I wanted to experience every single day. I didn't want to let go of the feelings that I felt, and it caused me to want to know what it was. You know, at first I thought it was just this ultimately powerful love spell, and I was totally against that because of the way I was raised. And I was just like, oh no, this person is not going to take me out of my own will and thought process. This person is not even my type. Like, this person, who is this? And why am I feeling like this? No, no, no. So anyway, let's begin. So the first phase, as I know it and as I studied, would have been the awakening, the meeting. And so it's just that. When you meet this person, you without a doubt know. Now, some people, and I did read in some articles, around 2013, I'm going to say the beginning of 2013, that's when I met my twin. And around that time, there was some other like teachings and writings saying that you could dream about your twin before meeting them. I don't recall dreaming about this person. What I do recall is having a knowing all of my life. From the time I discovered that I was gifted at the age of 5, I had a knowing that I belonged with another person. I had a knowing that there was a special person created just for me, and I created just for them. And I always, when I would play with my Barbies, and when I would play pretend and, just play as a kid, I would always incorporate the love of my life. I wouldn't say soulmate, but I would just say my partner, the one. And my mate. And as I grew older, it never left me. I just had a knowing that I had a special partner out there. And some of you could say, well, all little girls know, and all little kids say, I'm gonna get married one day and I'm gonna have a partner. It was more than that, though. It wasn't just the regular, oh, when I get married, when I grow up. It was the one, somebody specially made for me, somebody that was created for me, my other half, someone that would have been connected to me in all ways, and like a twin flame. And so that is the first stage that I can say would exist, so to speak, a knowing. And some people may not have felt the knowing, but you awakened as soon as you met that person. At the point of meeting, you knew that this person was significant. And some people say it felt like home. Now, that term was something that I read. I didn't say that, but my twin actually spoke those words to me. We were talking, and I was like, this feels like, and he said, home. It feels like home. And I was like home? Like, what does that mean? That's so vague in a way, but not vague really, And I just really pondered that because I'm analytical, and I just sat with it, at home. I made him feel at home. So at home is kind of like of course, it's a peaceful, comfortable feeling. And I countered what he said with, yeah, I feel so comfortable. And it's true, I did. I immediately felt comfort. I felt comfortable, at peace, and what makes that such a big deal for me is I've always been an introvert. I've always been, to myself. People would say that I was shy and not so talkative if I really didn't know you. But in reality, it's not that I wasn't talkative, because I was to everybody that I knew and I loved and I wanted to be around, and their energy was good. But new people, because I was an empath and I didn't really know what that was at the time, I was really standoffish to meet new people because I didn't want to feel their energy and hurts and pains. And so, for me to have met him for the first time and not kind of go into my shell of protection was weird for me. It was really weird. And but it was kind of intriguing as well, because I felt an attraction to him that I was trying to deny. You know, I was trying to play it cool and be cool about it and nonchalant. But I'm sure now, because of all the things that we've gone through and some of the discussions that we've had, I was trying to be cool and I thought I was being cool, but he knew, he felt it too. So he knew exactly what was going on and what the feelings were, because he was experiencing them too. So that would have been the first stage, the awakening, or the stage of meeting that person. And some people will have twin flames and they won't meet them physically, like in person. It'll be maybe through Skype or social media of some kind. But you'll meet that person. Sorry guys, I'm sitting here kind of shuffling the cards as I speak with you. And you'll meet that person and you will instantly be drawn to them, even if it's on the internet. But as far as I know, you would want to, if you're feeling that type of connection over the internet, over video of some kind, you would definitely want to meet with that person in person so you can feel. If this is your true twin, you don't want to miss out on the feeling that you were going to feel when you guys are inches away from each other, even feet or even a mile or two. That's how strong this connection is. And so we're going to move on to the second stage. The second stage is the bubble phase. And I'm using this terminology because that's what was taught to me. That's what I studied. I cannot emphasize it enough. I am going to use the terminology that was taught to me and that I read up on and studied, because it was accurate. It was exact. It was almost scary how exact it was. And this person that wrote the first phases, they're not on the journey anymore. I remember reading one of her last articles, and she said that she had chosen to leave the twin flame community and to leave. She didn't want to continue to write about it, and she didn't want to be on the journey anymore for her own reasons. And she can do that, you know. She can do that if that's what Divine has called her to do. I can say one thing, that I am very thankful for her thinking ahead enough to write it down on paper and put it out there to the world so I could find it. And so I want to pass on the message, because I noticed that not too many people are talking about it, and I think it's it's kind of like politics, you know. It's really a touchy subject. No one wants to really go there, but I'm going to dive in, and I'm going to go there because I can say for sure with this particular 8 stages or phases, they were accurate for me, and I know that they're going to be accurate for some other people. And so I'm just going to put them out there. So the bubble phase is the phase where you're kind of in a bubble. You are no longer, well, I was going to say no longer in shock about the connection, but that's not true. So the bubble phase is when, after you meet, you start feeling this tremendous love for this person. And it's kind of, well, at least for me, I can only speak for myself and for what my twin has told me, but it was terrifying for me, because I had thought I had felt love, true love, before. And once I felt it, it was like a re-energizing, waking me up from a long slumber, amazing love. It was like a love, the way that I can describe this love that I felt is similar to the love that you feel, mothers out there, after you've given birth to your child and you look into their face for the first time. It's that type of love. It's like a pure, beautiful love that you feel for another person that you're looking at, and they are a total stranger. So that threw me for a loop, and it kind of, I think it took me a minute to really adjust, because I'm a person that is, at that time, I was a person that was used to a certain routine and a certain way, and it was just really unbelievable, this love that I felt for this person. And so it was not only me feeling that love, but it was he feeling that love also. And he was thinking the same thing as me. Like, how could I feel this type of love or this tremendous emotion for this stranger? Who is this stranger? And so you go through a lot of questions. Who is this? Why am I feeling this? And what am I feeling? What is this? But you know that you just want to be around that person. You want to get to know them. I remember that first week that I met my twin, he must have asked me 1,000 questions, and I answered every one. And because I am less talkative usually, I was just the wheels of my mind were turning so fast. I was thinking of all sorts of things, and the number one thing that I thought was, this person's just put a powerful love spell on me, and I have to get it off. And so I just remember now, and it's so hilarious, because I remember I went home the first day I met him, and that night. But before I get into what I did at home, I want to tell you a little bit about when I met him. So I met him at work, and he was a superior to me, and someone came over that I had never seen before, and it was so weird. I don't know if this was an angel, but this person came over to me and said, we're getting a new boss, and this boss is such a asshole, excuse my language. I hope there's no kids watching, but she said that, and she said, this person is so strict. And he walked in, so I didn't, nothing else that she said I heard. I just was glued to this person that walked in. His walk was amazing. His clothing was amazing. I'm very into like fashion and design, and I'm attracted to people that keep their self up, really well and well dressed. And so I noticed right away he was very well put together, and his hair was just amazingly beautiful. And then he spoke. And after he spoke, I just could not believe it, and I kept thinking in my mind, whose voice is that? I know that voice. And he kept talking, and I noticed, because I couldn't take my eyes off of him, I noticed that he did not take his eyes off of me either. And the things that he was saying out of his mouth was like tearing everybody a new ass, basically. He was just really digging in there and getting everybody and telling everybody off, and it was probably like 30 to 40 people in the room. And I was just, I don't know why I'm gonna say I had to have been lower vibrational at the time, self-conscious or something, because I thought that the things that he was saying were directed towards me, because I had been going through some things with haters, and I took it literally. But he did not take his eyes off of me, and that also made me think, he's talking to me. Somebody has lied to him and told him that I'm not following through, and all of my production and my projects are failing. And I was just thinking in a really negative way. Sorry guys, I had to take something to drink because my throat chakra is really, I hope it doesn't start acting up. But so yeah, he just kept looking at me, and I was looking at him, and I was just like stuck on him, and he was stuck on me, and I was just like, it is too thick in here. I have to find a way to get out. But I couldn't leave. The meeting was mandatory, and he was being introduced and introducing himself to the company. And so I was just like, oh, I can't stand this. Like, I have to get out of here. And so at the time, I was in a relationship. So, and I've always been the type of person that is a one-person woman. So, I felt an attraction, but I was like, I don't know what this is. This is weird, and I'm fleeing. I'm getting out of here. So I left. I found the first opportunity and reason to leave, and I left. So while I was walking to my department, back to my office, I was thinking, oh my gosh, he is so hot. Like, he is everything, but he's not my type. What is going on with me? And I just was like going through, analyzing the whole situation. Why was he staring at me? Why was I staring at him? What was that energy I felt? Whose voice is that? How did I know his voice? And that's what the bubble stage is. It's falling in love with someone that you just met and trying to figure it all out, like, what is going on here? But at the same time, wanting that feeling to not go away ever, wanting to be around that person, wanting to get to know them, wanting to know every single thing about them from the day they were born to that present time. It is wanting to be around them, hug them, hold them. And so then we go into that night. When I got off, I was kind of like Googling everything, like powerful love spells. What kind of love spell would have you doing this and that, and how to get rid of it. And I found out about, you're supposed to urinate on an anthill and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is outlandish. Like, he didn't even know me before today. How did he? I wasn't even going to take this position. I took this position on a whim. I had two other opportunities that I was supposed to take, and I took this one because it made sense to where I lived. It was closer to home, and the hours were worked out, and it was divine doing everything, making sure that I was there. I started that position, and so I looked up some stuff. I didn't find anything. I just found how to get rid of love spells and stuff like that. So I then went to work the next day, and I can't even fib, I can't lie. I went in anticipating seeing him and trying to figure out what it was that had me so glued to him and feeling all these feelings. And I couldn't even hardly sleep that night, and I was excited and anxious and feeling all these feelings. And the next night, there was another meeting that he was going to be, over that meeting. And so once I found out, I looked on my itinerary, I just said, I'm going to skip this one, and I'll just make up an excuse later to my manager, my boss, and, I'm just going to get out of it because I just can't. So I thought I was going to get away with like avoiding him. And so he found me, basically. He found me, and he walked into my office, and I saw him coming from a distance, and his walk, I'm telling you, that walk was everything. If I could reenact that walk, I would. Like, it was just turning me all the way on. And so I got irritated, like, why am I turned on by him? Like, why is he coming over here? Why is he in here? And so he walked up to me and we started talking. I decided, now mind you, I'm an introvert. I don't really speak to people. Back in 2013, I don't speak first. You know, I might smile. I'm not mean, but I'm not going to spark up a conversation. I'd rather just be to myself and do whatever I'm doing. But I'll smile to let you know, I don't hate you, but I just don't want to hold a conversation. So as he approached, introvert me left the building because I just greeted him. Hi, hello, how are you? And, we started talking and it was amazing. So back to the stages. So the bubble stage is just really feeling a tremendous love and being in love, that person feeling the same way. You guys are staring into each other or gazing into each other's eyes for what seems like hours at a time. Time stops, it seems like, for you. You are just enthralled in each other. You're just into each other and you're learning and you're trying to find out what's going on. And then here comes Kundalini, or I will call it the bliss stage. And that's where it gets even better because you start feeling this energetic, electric, pulsating feeling throughout your body as if your cells, and I'm going to describe it like this because in one of my journals, I remember describing it exactly like this. Like all of your cells in your body awaken at the same time and they start dancing. And it's a good feeling. It's a great feeling. It's a feeling like a euphoric feeling, a natural high of some kind. You're feeling like buzzed, or it's just an amazing feeling. I felt that feeling. And so my body, remember, I'm going to go back to saying this a lot, but in 2013, I was an introvert. I did not start conversations with strangers if it wasn't work related. Let me just say that. If it wasn't related to my kids' school, if it wasn't related to church, I wasn't starting any conversations just for the heck of it. And so I remember clear as day walking into him as an introvert. Now, when I tell you the introvert in me left the building, I don't know. My body betrayed me. I've said that 1,000 times in my journal. My body betrayed me. I walked more into him. We were really close, and I wanted to be close to him. I wanted to be right there. And we talked and we laughed, and I felt the energy, and I felt the electrical pull, and I felt the electrical pulsating Kundalini feeling of Kundalini rising. And so after that first week, I just had to know what this was. It was just amazing, and I just was happier than I've ever been in my life, and I just wanted to be around that person. Then that's the third stage. The fourth stage that I went through was the runner stage. So because all of that scared me so much, I started being a little bit nonchalant about it, although I was like craving the Kundalini rising feeling and that electrical pulsating energy. I also was scared out of my mind. I didn't know what it was. I was in a relationship and I didn't want to. I felt like it was wrong, whatever was happening. And so, I tried to ignore him. I tried to be busy and not go to the meetings and not engage. I would see him and try to kind of turn the other way, but he did not allow it. He was determined because he felt the connection as well, and he loved what he felt, and he was further along in his journey at the time than I. So he kind of pursued me. He kind of chased me a little bit, and that made me run until I stumbled up on, I had Googled, instead of Googling love spells and how to get rid of them, I started Googling my feelings. So I Googled love feelings for a stranger, electrical feelings, and a sense of knowing, and twin flame popped up. Well, at the time, I am a Christian, which I still am. I believe in some of the Christian principles, but at the time I was going to church, and I felt like the word twin flame sound demonic. It sounded evil to me. And so I didn't want to read anything that said twin flame or flame anything. And so, and now I can laugh at that because, there is fire references in the Holy Bible. And, it's just ignorance. And I can admit that I was being ignorant at the time. So anyway, so I was like, that's not it. And I just moved on to something else. And I took some kind of quiz, and it led me back to a twin flame article. And this is the article where the woman had put the stages up, and I promise I'll come back with her name, and I will try and find her articles, because I know that in at least one of my journals I put the websites that I had gone to and information. So so I went to the website and I started reading, and one of the first things that I read was you meet someone, a stranger, someone that you've never seen, never met before, and you feel a intense sense of love and a connection. So of course that made me say, well, let me see what this is all about. And so I did. I went in and I started reading, and that's when I stumbled upon the bubble phase, and I read that, and it was accurate to a T. Then I read the Kundalini rising phase, and I was like, that is what I went through. That's what I've gone through. And during the Kundalini rising, a lot of things happened. When I say the words, my body betrayed me, I mean it. Like, I was trying to be so cool, calm, and collected, but my body was so on 10, level 10. And so a lot of things happened that I was just so irritated with my body about. But my body was on 10, basically. That's the greatest way I can put it on this video. But I was just trying to play it off, and I'm sure he was really tickled by the fact that I was trying to play everything off. And now that I know that he's my twin, he knew everything that was going on, because shortly after all of the Kundalini, I began to realize that we had a telepathic connection as well. So he heard everything that I was thinking, and I heard everything he was thinking, and so I wasn't hiding anything from him. And I thought that once I realized that we had a telepathic connection, I was just like, this is amazing. Like, there's nothing better than this. And so then I went through the runner stage. I was scared. I started thinking, am I pretty enough? Am I thin enough? Am I perfect enough in every way for this person that is designed for me? And so I started to back off, and I started to avoid him and not ignore him, basically. And so then that quickly went away, because I started realizing how I wanted the connection. So when I started to come around, then he started to run. And so that was a bit irritating and unfair to me. And I think just because I'm a spoiled brat, I started being irritated with the connection because I couldn't have my way when I wanted my way. And I think that's a lot of what a lot of us twins think. We want it now, now, now. If this is our greatest love of our life, let's experience it. Give it to me now. And we don't want to do the work. And so the runner stage lasted for, so Kundalini lasted, the bubble phase lasted for a couple of weeks. Kundalini lasted for a couple of weeks, if not a couple of weeks. The runner stage lasted for months. And then I went into the dark night of the soul because of the runner stage. And the dark night of the soul basically is crying and sadness and wanting to be with your twin and not understanding the connection fully yet, but just being sad and going through that dark time of depressive behaviors and lower vibrations, and not realizing that it's triggering your twin as well. So then he starts going through the dark nights of the soul. But once you come out of that, it's called the phoenix rising. You know how they say that the phoenix rises from the ashes? So the dark nights of the soul can last for months and months. There is no time frame really on it. It just depends on you and your growth levels and your work that you're doing on yourself, because during that runner phase and the dark nights of the soul, that's when you start really seeing what needs to be cleansed and cleared from you, your past lives and karmic contracts and things like that. And you start really trying to work on yourself. And you notice that when you start really doing the research on the runner phase, that once you start working on yourself, then that person will stop running from you, and then you guys can start communicating again. And sometimes it'll kind of go back and forth. So it'll be you, and then it'll be them. So you'll run, then you'll get yourself together, and then they'll run, and then they'll get themselves together, and then you can move on to the next stage. But so for the dark nights of the soul, that's where the majority of the cleansing happens. Crying, remembering childhood hurts and wounds, and parental hurts and wounds, and past lives, and recognizing, tapping into Akashic records, recognizing if, you have karmic contracts that need to be cleared, and working towards that. And then you also go through doubt. So doubt would be the sixth phase. And you could actually go through the runner stage and then doubt. So doubt could be your stage 5, and then dark night of the soul could be stage 6. And dark night of the soul and the phoenix rising stages, I'm going to say that they're one stage combined in 2 different levels. So you go through the dark night of the soul, and then you come through as phoenix rising, and then after that you go through your surrender. And so, or you start going through doubting the connection, doubting yourself, doubting if you've done all your work, just doubt in general, lower vibrations. And if you recognize it, you're not in doubt too long. So doubt could be a day, a week, 1 month, it could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks of doubt. And then you pull yourself out of it because you know that this is a hell of a connection, a once in a lifetime, or not even once in a lifetime, once type of connection over many lifetimes. And then you surrender to that fact that you cannot control your destiny. You can, however, manifest things to come forth quicker, but you cannot control what is already destined for you and written. And once you notice and realize that you cannot control your counterpart, you cannot control divine masculine, divine feminines. Divine masculines, you can't control divine feminines. They have to be willing to do the work on their own. They have to be willing to fight. They have to be willing to recognize the connection and be involved in it too. Or it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to, you're going to be stuck in that phase. You're going to be stuck. And then a love oracle fell when I said that. And it says, I have found the one that my soul loves. That's amazing. But really, that's what surrender is. Surrender is going through, I had some notes here, but surrender is going through the stages and phases and being able to work through it and surrendering to the fact that you're not going to be able to change anybody else but yourself, and you have to have your own work to do. And once your work is done, you guys are mirroring each other. And you know, that is, I'm going to add that stage in. I said that there was 8, but there is also the mirroring. You are going to mirror each other. So I'm going to put the mirroring stage in as number 7 and surrender as number 8. So you're going to mirror each other. So when you're in doubt, that will trigger your partner, your counterpart, your divine, to mirror you. So they're going to start doubting you, doubting the connection, doubting their sanity, doubting. And then when you get out of that stage and you're ready to move to stage number 8, or phase number 8, which would be surrender, then you're going to surrender knowing that you've done your work. You've healed all of your past life and your karmic contracts, if you have any. You saw and tapped into the Akashic records, or if someone has tapped in for you, you have recognized the love of your life, and you are comfortable with loving yourself by yourself if that is what is needed in this lifetime, because sometimes your partner has so much work to do that they can't complete it in this lifetime, and or they're unwilling to complete it at a fast enough pace so that you guys can come in harmony and union on this 3D plane. So it may not happen. And when I heard that, I was so angry. I was so lower vibrational. I cried a couple of times when I heard people say that. But now I can say it and I believe it. And I am so comfortable with... Now, let me say this. I'm never going to be totally comfortable with not being with my partner after feeling how much love that we share and seeing him and, you know, hearing his voice. But if Divine says, not in this life, you have other things that I want you to do, then I have to surrender to that and say, have your way, Divine. Whatever will be, will be. And so that's what surrender is. Surrender is being willing to do the work, knowing that it may help your counterpart, but also knowing that maybe you might not get together in this life, but you will join up in 5D. You will ascend together. You are meant to be together. And you are in 5D, you are together. Some of you have children together in 5D. Most of you do. And you are together in 5D. Now that is the hardest stage. I just went through surrender, and it is really difficult. And I had a test while I was in surrender. My twin reached out to me, and it brought me back to wanting to be with him. It brought me back to not wanting to accept the fact that we may not get together. It brought me back to doubt. It brought me back to hurt and things that we had gone through that hurt me really bad. And I pulled myself out of it. And I said, nope, I'm not going there. Like, I've gone through too much. I've done too much work to be stagnant and to go backwards. And so when the union didn't come, I knew that it was still work to be done for me. It was still work for him to be done. And it was nice to have heard from him. It was nice to have saw his face in pictures and, you know, video. But I can't put myself in a situation where he is not all the way ready for me and all the way healed, because I am in my queen power and I need him to be in his king power, his emperor mindset, and me being in my empress mindset that I'm in, embodying all the queens right now. I need him to step forth as the emperor, or we can't be together, because I know that it won't work. And I'm not willing to go through hurts and pains anymore. I've gone through that with him, and I'm only willing to accept him in with open arms if he has done his work, and if he is higher vibration, and if his energy matches mine. I don't want to be incompatible, and I don't want to go through lower vibrational karmic lessons anymore. I'm beyond that, and I want him to be beyond that too, so that we can be in harmony, and we can be in ascend together and be in union, and it will last because we are meant to be together. And so that's what surrender is. And after you've truly surrendered and your counterpart really surrenders, the next step is harmony, unions coming in fast, quicker than you would ever think. But you have to go through that surrender stage, and it's going to be hard. It is one of the hardest phases to go through. And believe me, when you go through it, you will know. And this card flipped over, and it says, life is tough, but so are you. And I really, truly believe that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Divine. Thank you, ancestors, for that message for the collective. Thank you so much. And that's it, guys. So we've come across 9, possibly 10 stages, because I did add in the Phoenix Rising stage, and we did add in one more phase, and that was a mirroring phase. And just remember that. So 1 was meeting or awakening, 2 is the bubble phase, 3 is the runner, 4 is Kundalini rising, 5 would be mirroring, 6 would be doubt, 7 would be dark night of the soul, 8 would be Phoenix rising, 9 would be surrender, and 10 would be your union. And that is so accurate, because 10 is finality. 10 is it. So I hope that this made sense to you. And if you have any questions, please look below and contact me, or send me a comment, and I will get back to you. But again, I just want to say my little disclaimer again. I am not a twin flame expert. I am just living this journey and walking this journey with my divine masculine. And because there's not a lot of talks about the phases and stages that you go through, I just wanted to put a video out there to help somebody that may be confused or need more information and want to be educated on it. And these phases are things that I've actually gone through myself, and I'm going through as we speak. And I've read about one wise woman wrote an article, and everything was accurate and on point. And because I've gone through the things, the only stage that I have not gone through yet would be surrender and harmony, and I am really sure that it's going to be real soon. But again, please subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me. And you have a blessed day.